Cosmo was supposed to fight Ciaran Clark, but he had to pull up injury. You get the call. You get to go in there. What was it like for you when you got that call, jumping in there and be part of this bantamweight tournament on short notice?
Terrifying, man. 2 weeks notice against a stud, but I've been preparing my whole life for it, and I couldn't say no to the opportunity, and saw what happened. I came in there and kind of shocked the world. Not kind of, I did.
Only on SportsGrid.
Malaysia Fawali, who you guys know I am a huge fan, has decided to switch allegiances and stay in league. And now she's going to go play for Kim Mulkey. Her, Flau'jae Johnson in the backcourt. It's going to be interesting to watch. You wonder sometimes with roster construction, maybe too much is not too good.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We know your other brother Marv did the Knicks forever, but you've done just about every team in the league. You did Ames. You did Dr. J. Dames.
But after 45 years in this crazy business, people kept telling me, you got to write a book. So I did, and here it is.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Time to rise and grind on a beautiful Friday morning here, May 2nd, 2025. This is the Early Line on the SportsGrid Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri. And as usual, we got 3 hours to break it all down because Friday shows are fun. We got to get you caught up on what happened last night, what's going to happen tonight, Joe, and also what will happen over the weekend, like the Kentucky Derby, experts galore, picks galore, Game 6s galore. I love it, Joe. It's a great time.
Great night last night. We ended up getting a couple of Game 7s. So you got to love it, both in the NHL and the NBA. And you're not going to believe it, Donnie. I believe the Colorado Rockies have a winning streak. Just going to throw that out.
Oh, my goodness. Boy, we talked about that yesterday. The Rockies actually were the right play, but can you get your mind wrapped around the Rockies winning 2 games in a row? Get used to it. No. The Rockies are back. They heard the slander. They're ready to go, and so are we on the Early Line. It's time to get to the 7-7, the hottest topics across the sports landscape, which included Motown Detroit. Could they force a game number 7 in the Garden? It turns out they wouldn't be able to do that. Why? Because Jalen Brunson was fantastic down the stretch, dropping 40 points in that game in a 116-113 final. The Knicks move on to round number 2.
And the Knicks, listen, had 2 separate double-digit leads that they blew in that game there. They had a lead by 15 in the first half and 11 going into the fourth. But like Detroit has done all series long, Donnie, they would not go away. This team is worth keeping an eye on next season and the year after that. I think it's fair to say the Detroit Pistons are going to be around for a little while coming out of the East.
Yeah, Malik Beasley, I believe, dropped 6 triples in the first half, none in the second half. Could have used some of those triples. And also a run late in the game by the New York Knicks to close that game out certainly was impressive. We'll get to that game and much more a little bit later in the show. But also another Game 6, which I've loved this series all the way through. How about the Clippers, Joe? 111-105 over the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets did stay inside that number. You saw a lot of big minutes played yesterday. 42 from Jokic, 44 for Murray, 40 for Brown, 41 for Gordon, and they still came away with the loss here, which sets up an epic game number 7 in elevation. The Clippers get the job done, and we love to see the 7th game.
And another shining example, Donnie, of when we say, make sure you get the best number you can. Mm-hmm. This game yesterday morning, we were talking about it, was 6.5. It closed 5.5. And depending
Oh.
on what side and when you bet it will depend on whether or not you were able to cash that ticket. But it was good to see that putting James Harden on the back of a milk carton turned out okay. They found him last night, and it's a good thing. The Clippers needed him last night.
Usage rate was high, too. 20 field goal attempts there for James Harden yesterday, which included 3 of 8 from three-point range. Here's what you needed out of the Clippers, and you got it at home. Kawhi Leonard, 27 points over his points prop. James Harden, 28 points over his points prop. Norm Powell, 24 points over his points prop. You need your best players to step up in the biggest moments, and they did that, forcing the game number 7. In the NHL last night, how about this? What was it? 4 game 6s last night. We only have 1 game 7 on docket because the Maple Leafs handled their business and knocked out the Senators. They might as well have the Stanley Cup parade right now for getting out of the first round. The Wild on the road, the Wild at home, losing to the Golden Knights 3-2 in that game, ending that series. And then you take a look at the Stars and the Avalanche, which the Avalanche put up 7 goals to force a game number 7. And then you see the Kings and the Oilers. The Oilers at home dropped 6 goals on the Kings to advance in their series as well. Good stuff in the NHL last night.
I mean, it's why the NHL playoffs is very much like March Madness, Donnie. You just you can't turn the game off. You don't know it. Don't let the final scores fool you. All of those games were absolutely nail biters into the third period last night. A couple of empty netters were really the difference in why they didn't seem close. But every one of those games was great. Like you said, we got a game 7 coming up, and there's nothing better than that.
Absolutely. Big time weekend in the NBA and also in the NHL. We'll watch those games play out. But you know who's not going to be able to watch these games play out, at least live in person, Joe? That's Tyrese Halliburton's dad, who has to stay away from Pacers games for the foreseeable future. How about that?
Well, I mean, what are you, 12? Like, act like an adult and you'll be able to attend sporting events. Like, I don't understand. Why are you getting into verbal altercations with players? It's beyond me, especially when your son is one of the players. Like, I don't get it, Don. I hope they don't let him near any arena anytime soon.
Like we've seen it in the past, right? The guys that sit courtside, famous, maybe get a couple words in, a high five with a player. Spike Lee always comes to mind at Madison Square Garden, having fun with the other team. And it's usually that, engagement where watch me drop a 3, I'll talk some smack. I come down and miss a 3, now the crowd's going to talk some smack back. But Spike Lee doesn't go on the court and confront players and get into a melee or try to do that here. But by the way, what does foreseeable future mean? Does that just mean for the playoffs and next year, Dad, you're more than welcome to sit courtside and do it again?
No, foreseeable future means until the next story about John Morant comes out, and then we can forget all about this. And we all know that's coming at some point here, Donnie.
There you go. Hey, it's the way it is in the NBA. Changes are being made in the Valley of the Sun. You take a look at a new general manager, a new senior advisor, a shakeup in the front office because those high-priced veterans playing on the basketball court, that didn't work. What's the easiest thing to do? Fire everybody around them and change everybody around them, hoping it works.
Yeah, I'd like to say, these new owners maybe can learn a thing or two from mistakes of the past owners, but apparently not. Apparently they seem to have figured out that the easiest way to deflect is by firing everybody, which, hey, good luck, Phoenix. Let's see how that works out for you.
Exactly. Let's see who changes there. Where's Kevin Durant going to play? Is Booker part of those long-term plans? I'm pretty sure they have a game plan they're going to try to execute, and they need something because that was a disastrous season. You want to talk disasters? Not necessarily, but Paul Skeens yesterday, we always expect greatness. How about 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, and only 2 strikeouts yesterday, and the Cubbies come away with an 8-3 victory. And by the way, was it Joe Ranieri yesterday on the show that said he expected some runs in this game today? Look at that, 11 total at PNC.
Yeah, and like we said, that line stunk. How in the world is a Paul Skeens start?
Yes, correct.
And we've got 7.5, 8 is a total. Made absolutely no sense. That told you everything you needed to know there. As the Pirates, I thought they were pretty good until late. Once the bullpen gets in with the Pirates, Donnie, we all know how that ends up.
Exactly. By the way, I think we had Tom Vecchio on yesterday talking about, hey, what's interesting, like 6.5 or 7.5 as a strikeout prop for Skeens was extremely low. And also they talked about only the 2 strikeouts. Yep. The velocity was down yesterday for Paul Skeens, something to keep an eye on because that usually sends alarm bells off. We expect them to bounce back, but good call by Joe Ranieri on the total yesterday. Hey, if I would have told you Juan Soto's knocking baseballs out of the yard at Citi Field, probably a pretty good day for Mets backers. Wasn't yesterday. 4-2 victory. Zach Gallen reemerges as, yeah, guys, I used to be a pretty good pitcher in this league, and I still am. 4-2 victory for the D-backs over the Mets yesterday.
And a good one too. It was nice to see finally Zach Gallen figure some things out there. His velocity had been down. He was missing pitches through the month of April. But you turn the calendar and look at that. You got your ace back. The Diamondbacks, very dangerous team, I think, moving forward.
I like the Diamondbacks. Ketel Marte will be back in that lineup sooner than later. It's a fun lineup to bet on a night-to-night basis in a tough division out west. Let me ask you this question. Running down the first baseline as a high, finely tuned athlete, how do you get a bone bruise in your knee? I don't know, but Mike Trout got that. He's finding ways to get injured and being placed on the IL. Mike Trout, one of the best baseball players of his generation, crumbling right before our eyes. Say it ain't so.
Well, listen, it's been crumbling for the last, 5 years? Like, come on, who are we kidding here? Every time we turn around, he's breaking down, and it's getting worse as he's getting older here. And the Angels, what do there's nothing they can do. They've made their bed. They're going to have to sleep in it with him. But if I'm Mike Trout, I'm looking around at that, on that side of that locker room and on the field and going, yeah, knee hurts. I'm out. This team is terrible.
Great thing about baseball, if your knee hurts and you have 6 years left on your contract, it doesn't matter. The money all spends the same at that point. So Mike Trout, no doubt. Like the seasons that he's put up in the past, and he just can't make it through like April and May anymore. It is a shame. We got so many more hot topics to talk about in the early line. Make sure you keep the dial right here. Joe and Donnie, we'll be right back.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They've won 7 in a row. They've been dominant at Citi Field. Lindor's been insane. Pete Alonso's been raking.
Griffin Canning, David Peterson, those guys have pitched really, really well. And when you put it together with that lineup, especially like you said, Lindor's been great. They've got the makings of something very special in Queens.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Fans hate them. Like, kids go to Giant games and they're like, my father forces me to come, or my grandfather was a season ticket holder. Like, no one has fun. It's a miserable place to go.
The Giants' problem has always been over the last several years, and it's been the reason why Barkley never really got off, is the offensive line.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Game number 6, as we love them, because why, Joe Ranieri? Sometimes they can turn into exciting game number 7s as well. And if we went to the West Coast last night, some of you might have woken up, like myself, and looked for the final score. I have an eye on this series, Joe, between the Clippers and the Nuggets, that have hit every single way all the way through. And most people thought this series was going to go into 7 games, and it has now. I actually thought at least one game would go into overtime, and it has. And every step of the way, I picked the winner, which included last night. Now, spread-wise, maybe you got a little bit tough, as Joe talked about in section number 1 for us here was, you know what, 5.5, 6.5, yeah, that made a big deal last night in a 111-105 victory. But the Clippers got the job done at home. It wasn't a blowout scenario. The Nuggets had to play their starters 40-plus minutes in this one as we head back to elevation. But talk to me about what you saw last night, Joe, from that Clippers 6-point victory over the Denver Nuggets.
Well, what we learned by the Clippers and in the NBA playoffs this year, Donnie, is that if you do a lot of the little things right, you can overcome a lot of absolutely trash shooting here. And that's exactly what the Clippers did again last night. Listen, we saw the Timberwolves miss 75 threes and they still beat the Lakers, right? Well, we saw the Clippers, I think they missed 9 of their first 10 threes. Jamal Murray drops 12 in the first quarter, and we're like, here we go again. But then James Harden dropped 17 points alone in the second quarter, but they missed 18 of the first 22 first-half threes they took. But you know what they did? They turned the Nuggets over a bunch of times. They were able to get easy baskets. So you can win despite not shooting well at all if you do the other little things well, and that's exactly what the Clippers did.
Oh, they certainly did. You take a look at the Denver Nuggets, too. Talking about the game yesterday, I wasn't sure if we got one of those scenarios, Joe, where sometimes you say, we know we have game number 6 or game number 7 in our back pocket at home. We saw that with the Golden State Warriors, which I was surprised by, a team that's used to being able to close out and handle those situations, basically put their hands up in the air after the first quarter, said, all right, let's shut it down. We know we have game 6 at home. We'll handle that. I was wondering what we would actually get out of the Denver Nuggets. And I'm not saying the MO of every NBA team is, hey, we have another game at home. Let's throw away a game that we might be able to win tonight. And they didn't do that. And they were very good last night, right up to the end. And again, staying within that number if you had 5.5 or 6.5 points. But for me, I looked at that game previous for Jamal Murray, went nuts. I said, you know what? He's probably going to shoot at least 20 times in this game. Shot 19 times. His points prop, 20.5. He got 21. Nikola Jokic, I thought if it was maybe a blowout situation, he wouldn't be able to get to that 27.5 points prop, and he didn't anyway with 25 points. But then we also knew from a Clippers perspective, you're at home. We need your A game, and we need it right out of the gate. They actually didn't get that. Like the Denver Nuggets had the lead, Joe, after the first quarter. The Denver Nuggets at the half were only down 1 point. They were in this, but then you saw the second half, a 10-point win in the third quarter really set the tone and set up the Clippers' victory last night. I thought a lot of players played well. Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Norm Powell. That's what you anticipate. But now as we start to direct that focus over game number 7, some of those things will change. But from the start of the series till now, are we surprised, Joe, that we are seeing a game number 7? I certainly am not.
No, I'm not. And I'll tell you what also, Donnie, we talked about the over last night, too, that the Clippers were going to score points. We knew that the Nuggets defense wasn't great. The question was, could we trust the Nuggets enough to be able to score and get it going? And quite honestly, all those turnovers really helped the Clippers a lot in that game by the Nuggets. They did make a run at the end. But I think, once again, there's no blowout here outside of that one game in this series, I think, right, where the Clippers kind of got boat raced in Denver. For the most part, a couple of possessions here or there, Donnie, and that's what it's going to come down to in a game 7. It's going to come down to which team does the little things correctly. I don't see either team hitting 16 threes or 17 threes in the game, right? I see it's all going to come down to is Russell Westbrook on the floor in the fourth quarter, and does James Harden continue to be James Harden? If so, it's going to come down to who has the ball last, I think, one way or the other in this series.
I think it's going to be great. Next segment here, we're going to review what those lines look like for game number 7 back in Denver. But even before we get there, you look at the box score, and I always get a kick out of these sometimes. Like the Denver Nuggets went on the road and shot 52% as a team. The LA Clippers, 50%. Okay, check mark for the Nuggets. 3-point shooting here, almost 41% on the road for the Nuggets, up against 31% for the Los Angeles Clippers. Okay, put a check mark there. And they still ended up losing that basketball game because there are intangibles. So many times in the NBA, too, we said, man, they shot 32 free throw attempts, 35 free throw attempts. You take a look at the road team, 6 of 9, only 9 free throw attempts for the Denver Nuggets as compared to only 15 for the Clippers. So we did have a pretty easy run all the way through. But when I start to look at like the bench, we know they get restricted here in the playoffs where it's all about your starters and playing them at length. I'm interested to see how now that we get to a game 7, how they will interact with each other. But the one player I picked out yesterday on Moneyline with Kevin Walsh, I'm saying, you know what? Is there somebody that is bulletproof in this game, that if it's a blowout one way or another, is going to get a lot of minutes, or if it's a close game, we'll do the same? It was Russell Westbrook. He played 35 minutes yesterday. His points prop, depending where you're shopping, 11.5 to 12.5 points. Like, rebound number, double-double last night. A triple-double was astronomical if Russell Westbrook, the king of triple-doubles, was able to get there. I think we were looking at one of those 8 points, 8 assist games, at least, was paying at about a 50 to 75 to 1 price, depending where he's shopping around. Westbrook was really good last night, and he is always blowout proof for me. Love to look for that guy.
And he missed a couple of easy layups that he had ended up getting blocked, and he missed one of them late in that game, which could have made it a little bit closer. But make no mistake, it was the defense of the bigs by the Clippers on Jokic in the second half. He dropped 20 in the first half. The reason they couldn't get all the way back in the second half is because those two guys, Batum and Zubac, did a fantastic job of limiting the damage by the Joker in the second half. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, you need those B options to step up as well. Michael Porter Jr., very good three-point shooter, only had 5 total attempts in that game for 5 points here. That can't happen. But again, those players typically play better on their home court at this point as we head towards a game number 7. Now, if we have a referendum on the Denver Nuggets, which we'll talk about, changing the coach here, if they get a first-round victory over the Clippers, play decent down the stretch, maybe that was a good move here, Joe Ranieri, for the Nuggets to get rid of their head coach and their general manager and see where they're at now.
Well, unless, of course, they lose the game 7. And by the way, Donnie, it's been a hot minute since Denver doesn't win game 7s. They haven't since the bubble. That's how long it's been. Not a good stretch here for the Denver Nuggets in closeout games.
Oh, boy, back to elevation they go. We'll see if it worked out in their favor. Nikola Jokic, step up to the plate. Let's take a look at game number 7 next.
Looking for an edge in betting basketball? Injuries can make or break a game. Get insider knowledge from Dr. David Chow and the team of experts with Sick Picks at Sports Injury Central. We reveal hidden health-based advantages the sports books miss. Our doctors provide insights, and our algorithm tells you who to bet on. Spreads, props, totals, in-game bets, Sick Picks covers it all. Go to SickScore.com and sign up for Sick Picks and use the promo code SportsGrid for a free week today.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
First time on a casino floor and feeling a little overwhelmed? Well, here's a tip. Lots of machines have a free demo mode you can try for practice. So give those slots a spin in practice mode before you start putting down some real cash. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's...
Game number 7, Joe Ranieri. Love to see it here. Love to handicap it. The pressure really rises. And which player will rise to that occasion? Well, there's great players on both sides in this. But if we are looking at the numbers coming back, opening 9, no surprise to me. The FanDuel Sportsbook here in New Jersey, -1.5 is a favorite. Where does it sit right now? It's actually -1, dropped slightly here. 1s, 1.5s across the board, depending where you're shopping. The total, 205.5 the opening number. That is downshifted to 204.5. And that's where we sit right now. I don't understand, Joe. Please help me out with this again. Every time we play in Denver, the Clippers are always favored. Like, I one game to win it all. Game number 7, you play the entire season to get this game in your building. And one of the best advantages in basketball, forget about the home crowd. It's just where you play at 5,200 feet. That is your advantage. Why do we keep seeing the Clippers favored on the road against the Nuggets?
It's amazing, right? It's kind of nuts. And to tell you the truth, I still think it's going to go off. We talked about it yesterday. I think it's going to go off as a pick 'em because I do think Denver at home is going to see a ton of public support as we get a little bit closer to the tip there. But as we have seen in this series, there is nothing given to either one of these teams. It's, again, the team that can play a little more defense, make a few more shots and do some of the little things right. And right now, if we're all being honest with each other, shouldn't this series be over already? I mean, the Clippers should have won this series 4-2 if it wasn't for the Hail Mary pass. Oh, I'm sorry. Shot. Oh, no, it wasn't a shot. It was an alley-oop. It was the greatest. Like, stop. Right now, the Clippers have been the better team in this series. I do think they deserve to be a slight favorite, but we all know in a Game 7, all bets are off. Anything is possible here.
It's really interesting how it plays out. Again, sometimes, you just look at the NBA and the way it's handicapped, and let's just say the odds makers place numbers random to any other sport. It just drives me nuts. Like, you have one game in your building, like before the season started, before the series started. This game's going to go 7, Donnie. The game's going to be at home. No major injuries, and Denver's at home. Oh, Denver's going to be favored 3.5, 4.5 points in this game. No, they're a plus 100 right now at the FanDuel Sportsbook on the money line to win this basketball game. Now, the interesting part will be, again, it's Game 7. Does the tempo slow down? Because we have seen games that have gotten pretty high scoring in this series. And you say to yourself, well, who's going to lead that charge? Is it going to be James Harden? Is it going to be Kawhi Leonard? Is it going to be Nikola Jokic? Does that championship pedigree with a couple players there for the Denver Nuggets show up? Kawhi Leonard's got championships there. But again, in Denver, just a few years ago, they have one. Do you think, I'm not going to ask you a question like, is the nerves going to creep in? They're superstars. They've won big games before in the past. But for me, having that home court advantage is so big in the way for the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, we have a coaching advantage here for the Clippers, right? We've got a depth advantage here for the Clippers here. We've got also not a great recent history by the Denver Nuggets in Game 7s. We just saw what? Round 2 last year. Who bounced them out? The Minnesota Timberwolves here. You've got to go back, in fact, I believe back to the bubble in order to be able to find the last time that they actually won a Game 7. And it happened to be against the Clippers that year in the shortened season because of COVID there. So, for whatever reason, Mike Malone, not Mike Malone, they just Game 7s have not been good to the Denver Nuggets and the Joker here. I think it's all advantages LA at this point. There's just too many pros, not enough cons for me to think that Denver is going to win this game. But he's unguardable. They did a great. Can they redo what they did in the second half against the Joker? Can you hold him scoreless for 12 minutes straight in the second half? If you do, guess what, Donnie? The Clippers win, and they win rather easily.
Take a look at some of those Clippers' top players, at least the expectations for points here. Kawhi Leonard, 25.5. James Harden, 21.5. Ivica Zubac, 16.5. Norm Powell, also 16.5. So expecting some of those B guys here to step up and get close to 20 points. No surprise to Nikola Jokic. He's going to have a high usage rate in this game, 28.5. Jamal Murray, 21.5. If I take out Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, take out Jamal Murray, and take out Nikola Jokic, who's stepping up as that B-level player in this game, you think?
Correct. It's got to be. It's got to be the bigs, and it's got to be a Norm Powell. It's got to be the guys that have been doing it now all season long, outside of the big names there. And the problem is the Clippers have more of those guys than the Denver Nuggets do.
Yeah, look. Game 7, that's all I can ask for. I thought this was going 7. It went Game 7. We got extra overtime games. I've hit a lot of props in the series. One more go-around because there are going to be some referendums out there, too. Hey, the Denver Nuggets maybe shouldn't have fired Michael Malone. Okay, well, they won the series and everything's okay. The Clippers lose? Do you keep running this thing back for eternity? Seems like it. Let's get over to the Knicks and how they are moving on to round number 2 next.
You don't think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers could be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
It's so crazy that you get both ends of that spectrum and the narrative trying to be correct in doing so and to make a statement for engagement. You're wrong, you've been wrong, and deal with the reality of the situation.
All of the people that analyzed the draft mocked one in the first round, and even could he go to the Giants at number 3 or trade up back in that round. They got Dart, they didn't get Sanders, and the fall was on at that point.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to get a bunch of upsets. We're going to get a lot of craziness. Didn't happen as well. I mean, over the last calendar year, Sam, I don't ever recall 6 or 8 months of time in sports where the books lost, but here we are.
They estimate FanDuel and DraftKings lost $185 million combined for March Madness. So estimating not just that they didn't have a profitable March Madness, but it was a huge loss for them as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Right back at it here. The New York Knicks, bing bong, moving on to round number 2 as they dispatch the Pistons in game number 6, 116-113, which saw the New York Knicks jump out to a 37-23 lead in the first quarter. Hey, let's take the crowd out of it. Let's get an easy victory. Not so fast. A 36-22 second quarter, 38-22 second quarter for the Pistons said, no, we're back in charge. This game had it all. Big leads collapsing, 11-1 runs to end the game, and the Knicks find themselves moving on because Jalen Brunson had 40 points and 7 assists and hit the biggest shot of the game, which was a late 3-point shot to give them the 3-point victory.
This was a rough one to watch if you backed the Knicks, because you watched them at stretches in this game be purely dominant. I mean, we're talking about 2 double-digit leads, one in the first half, one in the second half, that ended up disappearing because of just absolutely gross off turning the ball over, self-inflicted wounds all over the place. It was either great or it was horrific for them. But the bottom line at the end of the game is that the difference between the Knicks and Detroit is that they have experience and they have guys that will make the shots when it matters the most. Detroit did not have that this year, which is why they have been eliminated at this point. But doesn't mean that Detroit isn't on the right track to be a force here in the East moving forward. Got to love the heart. But like you said, Beasley, you can't go MIA in the second half. Somebody's got to knock down a shot when it matters the most.
By the way, you're so right about this, too, because I was watching this game like, man, you're getting that game you need out of a player maybe you didn't anticipate to actually step up and be your best player in the game. Can he hit 9, 10, 11, 12 3-point shots and carry you into a game number 7? But if we take a look at Beasley, if I would have told you before the game, Joe, he's going to shoot 6 of 13 from 3-point range. Like, sign me up. That is an amazing night. If you take away his 6 3-point shots that he made and you say, all right, 3 for 34, which basically would be 3 for 24-25 if you just remove them from the game. You can't do that. Kate Cunningham, 0 for 8 from three-point range. Tim Hardaway Jr., your three-point shooter, 1 for 6 from three-point range, and you still had a lead with under 3 minutes to go in that game, and it didn't work out. It's almost like you can say to yourself, boy, they took so many gut punches and took another one here, because if you're the Pistons, yes, you started out poorly. Yes, you were down double digits twice. But when you say, where are we at in the final 3 or 4 minutes of the game, they should have won that game again, and they didn't. But you do have to give credit to the Knicks for holding on and giving that basketball to their best basketball player in Brunson and him making a play. 15 of 33 from the field. Sometimes I can appreciate, Joe, when the superstar says, we're going to live or die with my shots and shot attempts. Give me the basketball. And he did that. 40 and 7 and 4. Look at that.
Yeah.
Great graph.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, Malik Beasley was nice enough to make the old heave-ho, no time left on the clock, 3 at the end of the first half there to give the Detroit Pistons the first half win there, 61-58. They outscored them. And it's all because Anunoby turned the ball over. He steps out of bounds with 3 seconds left. Just a hysterical. It almost felt like Detroit was doing everything in their power, going to every trick, every break in the world. But when it mattered the most, it was Brunson who showed up for the Knicks and nobody else. And by the way, good luck with the Boston Celtics, who they haven't beat all year long. And got to be more than Brunson if you're going to be competitive against the Celtics, Knicks.
You're so right about that, too, because I understand how Tom Thibodeau, plays the regular season as if it's the playoffs. I don't care about my bench. Just get my starters major minutes. We'll win that way. And again, they won 51 games doing that. But when you get to the playoffs, you don't need 7 guys off the bench to play 15-plus minutes and give you great minutes there. Yeah. But you need players that can step up. Like, this was a closeout situation. Mitchell Robinson, 1 point off the bench. Cam Payne, 2 points off the bench. Miles McBride, 3 points off the bench, and expect to beat teams like the Boston Celtics, who will bring in the bomb squad as their second unit and say, not only are we going to hold the lead, we're going to advance the lead. That's my worry, because again, you look at the minutes. Bridges, 44. Anunoby, 44. Karl-Anthony Towns, 37 minutes. Brunson, 42. Hart, 35 minutes. Boy, it's like we're going to play that same MO, and eventually that is going to catch up to you, because you can get away with it in the regular season. Hey, low leverage situations, 3 or 4 days between games, new opponents, and we get that. But in the playoffs, you are playing high leverage, high talented teams every single night, and eventually it's going to tire you out. Remember, hey, look at the Knicks last year. Man, great season in the playoffs. They were so injured by the end of it, man. What did you expect from them? It seems like we're heading down that path again.
Yeah, well, and the reason why they had no success against Boston or the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Oklahoma City Thunder, I mean, the Knicks' problem all year is that they beat all the mediocre team or inexperienced teams, but they couldn't beat any of the elite teams at the top of the class. And why? Well, because what's your go-to punch? What's their second pitch, Donnie, the Knicks? It's it. Once that first option doesn't work for the Knicks, they don't have anything else on a consistent basis, and that's the problem. It's good enough to beat Detroit in 7 games. It ain't going to be good enough to beat the Cavs or Boston or anything else. We're kidding ourselves here.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch because, again, superstars versus superstars are always a lot of fun. But the Knicks have showed us time and time again in the regular season, we will beat teams like the Detroit Pistons. We will not beat teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers and or the Boston Celtics. But my question is not for the Knicks. We have so much more time to talk about the Knicks because they're going to keep playing. I was impressed by the Detroit Pistons because you have to start somewhere. You have to make the playoffs for the first time in a while. You have to play a meaningful series, which they're upset they lost 4-2, but they were competitive the entire way through. It wasn't like, hey, the Miami Heat let you show up and get blasted 4 straight games. Like, they gave you honest efforts every night and were so close to winning the series and or at least forcing a game number 7. J.B. Bickerstaff thought did a great job here. What's the future plan now for the Pistons? Can we be players in free agency? Is it just like, no, we like the core we have. Let's grow as a team next year? Because I like what the Pistons are doing.
Well, listen, I mean, what would this series have been had Jay Nivey been available or Isaiah Stewart had been available for the Detroit Pistons? And they are going to have to figure some things out in this offseason because a lot of those guys now, who are you paying? What are you doing? What core here? I mean, don't forget, 2 years ago, Donnie, was it? They won 14 games in the season. And now, all of a sudden, you took the 3rd-seeded New York Knicks to 6 games in a playoff spot. It just absolutely unbelievable. But The talent is there. Now the front office has got to not screw this thing up here, but great job by them all season long. Wish they would have had Jaden Ivey or Isaiah Stewart available.
You know, it is going to have to change, too, because we understand that once you get to the playoffs for the New York Knicks and Tom Thibodeau's like, Jalen, just do whatever you want out there. Don't worry. If you can get somebody else involved, go ahead and do that. The reason I bring that up is he shot 33 times last night.
Yep.
Look at the rest of the starters. Hart shot 5 times, which, again, he's a glue guy. He's not supposed to shoot 15 times. Karl Anthony Towns, only 10 shot attempts. OG Anunoby, 14, and then Mikal Bridges, 16 attempts here. You take a look at Karl Anthony Towns, who you need to have good series and good games to beat better teams, only 10 points last night. You could say, hey, man, Joe, the entire starting lineup got double digits. That's all you can ask for. Well, the entire starting lineup plays the entire game. They better be in double digits.
Amen to that. And oftentimes, the teams you're playing at this point in the season, yeah, their starters are going to be all going to be in double digits too. But it's what else you got, right? It's what's that guy's coming off the bench? Who is that other guy that's going to be able to help you? That's why depth is so important in the stretch run here. And unfortunately, the Knicks don't have it. Detroit did, but nobody showed up to actually make a shot, and that's the problem.
Yeah, should be fun. Hey, Knicks expectations rising with that playoff victory. Can they take down one of the Titans here in the Eastern Conference? We'll certainly have some previews of that coming up next, but also the Detroit Pistons, as we stated, heading into the offseason and what's next for them. Figure they got the head coach of the future there. Figure they have the player that they need in Cade Cunningham. Just have to surround him with a little bit more. And the Eastern Conference wasn't a great conference top to bottom, but still, you get some credit for making the playoffs for a team that generally doesn't make the playoffs here. 4-2 series win for the New York Knicks. They'll take that, and we'll see where the Pistons go in the offseason. But a lot of questions are going to come up for the New York Knicks. Leveling up in competition, something they didn't do very well during the NBA regular season. All those minutes played by the starters, is that going to affect them? Because they got a big-time assignment coming up next, and we'll talk about those Celtics.
Cosmo was supposed to fight Ciaran Clark, but he had to pull off injury. You get the call. You get to go in there. What was it like for you when you got that call, jumping in there and be part of this bantamweight tournament on short notice?
Terrifying, man. 2 weeks notice against a stud, but I've been preparing for my whole life for it, and I couldn't say no to the opportunity, and saw what happened. I came in there and kind of shocked the world. Not kind of, I did.
Only on SportsGrid.
Malaysia Fawali, who you guys know I am a huge fan, has decided to switch allegiances and stay in league. And now she's going to go play for Kim Mulkey. Her, Flau'jae Johnson in the backcourt. It's going to be interesting to watch. You wonder sometimes with roster construction, maybe too much is not too good.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We know your other brother Marv did the Knicks forever, but you've done just about every team in the league. You did games. You did Dr. J games.
But after 45 years in this crazy business, people kept telling me, you got to write a book. So I did, and here it is.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Oh, let's re-rack it in the Eastern Conference. The Final Four of the Eastern Conference consist of the Boston Celtics, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks, and the Indiana Pacers. And if you go to the FanDuel Sportsbook right now and check those prices out, The Celtics are the favorite at a minus 155. The Cleveland Cavaliers, second in line at 175. The New York Knicks, 19-1. And then the Indiana Pacers at 20-1. When you see those numbers, Joe Ranieri, what first comes to mind for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a two-horse race is what it looks like, right? That's what the market thinks here is that Celtics and Cavs, and then there is everybody else. And I think we just discussed, we don't think the Knicks really have a puncher's chance at taking down the Celtics. My question is, are we convinced that the Pacers don't? And I don't know that, because the Pacers are a unique challenge to the Cavaliers here. They are not going to out three. You know, the Pacers can go toe-to-toe. They're built similarly. They can shoot the three. They can run up and down the court. Cleveland is not as good defensively this year. You know, I would give the Pacers a puncher's chance more than what I would give the Knicks on trying to win a 4 out of 7 here against the Boston Celtics. It's just styles make fights, and the Knicks don't have the horses to get it done.
Yeah, it is. And again, injuries do happen, which we're hoping doesn't occur. And we're just looking for the Eastern Conference Finals that we penciled in from early in the season. The Celtics and the Cavaliers, the two best in the East. That's why they're appropriately priced this way. Now, granted, the Knicks are a quality ball club, and so are the Pacers. You don't make it to the playoffs and win a playoff round and say, you know what, they're going to be food for fodder. It's going to be an easy gentleman's sweep. We're looking at maybe 6 in Game 6 and Game 7s in these series. And if they do happen, that's the way basketball is played out. You want to have the home court advantage, which those two top teams will do. But if we do take a look now at the series prices as we line up and start here with the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks, boy, is it a heavy favorite here, Joe. A minus 1,000 price for the Boston Celtics. If you want the dog price in the Knicks, that sits at plus 660. When you see those numbers, what comes to your mind?
Yeah, no shot. That's what it is. My hope here, if you're looking for the Celtics, is that the Knicks come out and punch first and maybe win again. Now, listen, I don't think the Knicks are going to get swept by any stretch here, but it does have 5 games written all over it here. I think that looks to be, the best price we're seeing there on the board. It looks like, 4-1, maybe 4-2 if we're lucky, but I don't think we're getting a Game 7 in any way, shape, or form in this series.
For me, I got to go get, because I see the 2.5 and I always get excited about that. Like the Detroit Pistons series against the Knicks. Like, man, I love the 2.5. Now, it was a little bit creaky where they had to steal a game number 5 in New York just to get it to game number 6. But they did get there and it did cover. And it's funny because when you look at it and say, yes, the Celtics are going to win this series, Donnie, any chance that the New York Knicks win the series? I don't really think they can. So usually say, well, why would you build a scenario around you covering some sort of line with the New York Knicks? Because it could end in 4 games. It could end in the gentleman's sweep, and you wouldn't get the cover at plus 2.5. But also, the Celtics opened up as a minus 700 series price here against the Knicks and ballooned up to that minus 1,000. If we're looking for a puncher's chance out of the New York Knicks, like what has to happen in your mind in this series? Is it just that Tatum doesn't play well or Brown doesn't play well, the 3 ball doesn't go down, and Brunson scores 40 every night? What's the game plan for the New York Knicks against the Boston Celtics for you?
Got to win with defense. We saw that with Orlando, right? The Celtics had a harder time with the more physical teams there, and when the threes aren't falling, the Celtics are beatable. But the problem is the Celtics have way more depth than the Knicks. That next group of guys that they can bring in, Pritchard and company off the bench, they're just as lethal shooting the ball. So the Knicks are going to have to find, it's got to be somebody else. Somebody else has to step up outside of just Brunson and hoping Cat doesn't disappear. Somebody else has got to get there. Where's Bridges been on a consistent basis? You either have to go toe-to-toe from 3 with the Celtics, or you got to be physical enough to give yourself a chance to win it ugly. And I think that's the Knicks' best chance to win this series is by making it ugly.
Yeah, you would figure that too, because you don't have the advantage on the bench. The Boston Celtics are a very deep team. They play great defense. They can hit you from all angles in the starting 5. And then that lethal combination when Hauser and Pritchard gets in, it's like bombs away. How do we even defend this? Where we're trying to get our starters a break, and they're actually extending the lead with their backups in the game. That's always going to be tough to have. But also, you do get the extended breaks. You're not going to be playing on back-to-backs. Maybe you can get away a little bit more with playing them extra minutes, but we know how this always turns out. twisted ankles, wear and tear, legs aren't underneath you. If you don't have those guys, like you're getting 1, 2, and 3 points, as we previewed last night from a game number 6 on the road for the Knicks themselves. But from a Celtics perspective, too, it's like they anticipate winning the series. They anticipate taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're not going to get bored because, like, hey, we just worry about the finals and, the teams ahead of us here. I'm interested to say, like, if there's one game that the Knicks, you figure, would have to steal from me, it would be game number 1. Because if you can get that game, mission accomplished. Now all the pressure goes back to Boston in game number 2 at home. And then even if it's 1-1, you have the advantage going back to the Garden. You must win game number 3. I'm going to be interested to see how the Knicks play game number 1, because that one feels to me, if you like the Knicks in the series, you just take game number 1 money line.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it, Donnie, because I think that's the one. That's the game, and I think that is going to set the tone as well. Now, keeping in mind, did you beat them during the regular? Have you done this already this year? No. Well, now's your chance, right? The playoffs are a different beast. Now's your chance. You got to set the tone for this series right away. If you get blown out by 20 points, series is over.
Is it got to be Brunson's got to get 40-plus every night, Joe? Is that where we're at here for the Knicks? Like, or Karl-Anthony Towns wakes up and he's got 30-plus on the board every night. Like, somebody has to play outrageous basketball for the Knicks to come out, because Tatum's going to be there, Brown's going to be there, Porzingis is going to be there. We understand that. But from a Knicks perspective, it feels like it's got to be Brunson shooting 37 times a game and controlling it for me.
I hope not. I hope that, Bridges shares the load. I'm hoping Anunoby shows up when it matters the most. Somebody else has got to make some shots. Otherwise, Brunson is one bad step away from not being available in this series. I hope everyone realizes that.
Look at that. Knicks plus 2.5 games, plus 106, Joe. Come on, buy into the Knicks. Bing Bong City. We ride it out. We get the game 6. Who cares who wins that game? We cash the ticket on it then. I don't know. Looks like Joe Rainier's all Celtic stuff, baby. I can't blame him. I can't. We're coming right back with more hot topics next.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Fans hate them. Like, kids go to Giant games and they're like, my father forces me to come, or my grandfather was a season ticket holder. Like, no one has fun. It's a miserable place to go.
The Giants' problem has always been, over the last several years, and it's been the reason why Barkley never really got off, is the offensive line.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
If you're going to trade Durant, right, it means things are getting weird anyway. Teams are going to, before they go for Durant, they're going to go for Devin Booker. That's just the reality of it.
You get rid of Durant, or do you do the crazy one? Because you're so far out of the West, you get rid of Booker, because D-Book will bring you far more in a return.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Don't forget about me. That's what the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers are saying. Maybe all the eyeballs and attention in the Eastern Conference playoffs will now go towards the Knicks and the Celtics, and maybe rightfully so. But I do think the Cleveland Cavaliers got something for the Boston Celtics if they can make it there. So if we're re-racking again, we already saw the prices to actually win the Eastern Conference. But now let's focus on the Cavaliers and the Pacers series themselves. A minus 550 favorite for the home team here, the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Pacers at a plus 410 price. If we look at both of the prices coming in between the series, right, with the expectations are the Cavaliers should move on and the Celtics. Do you agree, Joe, that the Celtics should be a minus 1,000 price to move on and the Cavaliers only a 550 price should move on? Or do you see those as discrepancies here when you see the actual price points?
Well, I think you're going to have certainly a better chance of there being a upset or a much closer series, I think, with the Pacers and the Cavs than we do with the Knicks and the Celtics. Listen, even if the Celtics win game or lose game one, Donnie, the price is not, you're still going to have to lay $750 on the Celtics to win it. It's not going to move that much. Not so much, I think, in this series, because if the Pacers win, I think those numbers get cut in half, Donnie. I mean, I think that's how drastic the line will be and the market will shift, because I do think the Pacers have a puncher's chance in this series against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Not to mention, the Cavs are going to be overvalued because of how they looked against the Miami Heat. And everyone thinks they're going to shoot 60% against this Pacers team, and that's not going to happen here.
Yeah, take a look at game sixes, game fives here. The Pacers plus 2.5 games, minus 140. The Pacers plus 1.5 games, plus 152. There are a lot of different ways to bet this series, but I think most of us, too, is like playoff basketball we enjoy on a game-to-game basis. And as the rounds move forward, you're supposed to get at the better basketball teams. And we are playing with chalk now, which is exactly what we wanted in the East, which means we should be getting the Celtics and the Cavaliers as they step up. When you talk about like the underdogs, like you have to shake things up. Like Brunson, as we talked about, or Karl Anthony Towns, or OG Anunoby. Somebody has to go ballistic in that series to make it to a game number 6 or even a game number 7 and or win that series. If we look at the Indiana Pacers, where I do think Cleveland is so deep and so talented, similar to what we look at the Boston Celtics, what has to happen for the Pacers? Is it Halliburton going nuts? Is it Turner? Like, what has to happen in this series for the Pacers to be like, you know what? We got you on the ropes, or we're going to extend this to games 6 or 7 at least.
I think what's going to happen here is they can't allow the Cleveland Cavaliers to dominate the paint and then leave wide open threes for guys to knock them down. I think that it's going to be imperative that the Pacers own the paint and play enough defense that they will burn Cleveland in transition with their bigs. There are some mismatches to have here with the Pacers against the Cavs that the Miami Heat just didn't have. And I think their ability to be able to get out in transition is going to force Cleveland not to be able to dominate with Mobley and Allen and just pack the paint and hope they're going to get every rebound and they're going to own the paint. No. They have got to be able to dominate the paint at times and beat them in transition for easy buckets, all of which is very possible for the Pacers.
Yeah, a lot of fun bets here on the FanDuel Sportsbook to try to go up against the series. If you want to take just the side itself, obviously you pay a premium here. If you take the Cavaliers, you get a nice juicy price on the Indiana Pacers. We talked about the prices for the series, minus 1.5, plus 2.5, minus 3.5, those type of series with the gentleman sweep and also the sweep. But also, most points in this series. Heavily priced in this market, by the way, Joe Ranieri, towards Donovan Mitchell at a minus 650, which makes some sense. Everybody else, 13-1, 18-1, 24-1. And as we pointed out, if you feel that the Indiana Pacers are going to win the series, I don't think it's going to be one of those like, hey, everybody played evenly well. Like you're looking at a guy like Siakam, 13-1, Halliburton, 18-1 to lead this series, Miles Turner, 49-1 to lead this series with points. Give me the player that you feel the need has to lead in points in the series if the Pacers want to win. Is it Siakam, Halliburton? You get big prices on those numbers, Joe.
I don't think you need that one alpha dog. I think you need balance. I think you need any one of those guys throughout. One of those guys has got to dominate a game, a piece there. I think Siakam has got to be a guy one game. Don't forget, adjustments are going to be made as the series goes on, right? So And, if Siakam is dominating you in game one, guess who they're going to stop in game two, right? So somebody else has to step up. You need balance here, and I think the Pacers have more of it than anybody else.
Yeah, it should be fun to watch it play out. And also, if you're looking at betting for close games, 0 games goes to overtime. That's a minus 360 price. 1 game goes to overtime in the series, plus 230. 2 games, 20 to 1. 1 hour down, hour number 2 next. We'll talk a little bit of Major League Baseball right out of the gate.